welcome to the first ever episode of Say It Louder. I'm your host, Brock Phillips, and I am joined by my friend and co host, Nicco Hill.
Hello. Today we will talk about many notable free agents, potential trades, and coaches recently hired and soon to be hired.
Now let's get started on the first topic of the day coaches recently hired and soon to be.
Okay, guys, our first coach of the day is Ty Lue, recently hired coach of the Clippers. Brock, how do you feel about this hiring for the Los Angeles Clippers?
I think it's a good hire because the Clippers have made it very clear they have a sole goal, and that's to beat LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. And Ty Lue would be the man to do that. He knows a lot about LeBron, pretty much everything you need to know. I mean, he won a championship with LeBron and went to the playoffs and finals multiple times with them, so he knows LeBron's whole mindset. And he has championship experience, which is also always good in a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it just makes sense for the whole Clippers narrative. What do
Yeah,
you think, Nico?
I think it was a good hiring, but not the best hiring. I think when we had people on the market like Mark Jackson, who built the whole Warriors team, but really didn't get his credit for it. I think he would have been the best hiring for the Clippers as a guy who can create camaraderie in a broken locker room. But I don't think Tyronn Lue was a bad hire. And I also like the assistant coach hiring in Chauncey Billups. But my only problem with Tyronn Lue is he was the assistant coach last year, and he really didn't help the Clippers. I can see that Doc Rivers, he was the main coach, but as an assistant coach, you have to be able to bring your guys and galvanize your troops, and I don't think he really did a good job of that.
Well, I don't think you can really blame Ty Lue for what happened last year. I mean, he was just an assistant coach. Like,
That's
how
fair.
much sway is an assistant coach supposed to have?
That's fair. But again, when you're a championship coach and you're an assistant coach, you would think that you have a decent amount of sway in a locker room.
Mm. All
But
right.
I think it was a good hiring.
All right. Our next coach is Stan Van Gundy. Now, he recently met with the Pelicans and is said to be one of their favorite choices to possibly be the coach. So, Nico, what do you think about that?
I think this could be a great hiring for the Pelicans. As a defensive minded coach, he's going to be able to bring up those young guys. He has a pretty good resume. He went to the finals with Dwight Howard in 2009, of course, coming short to Kobe Bryant. But yeah, he's led some championship organizations or some finals organizations. And I think he's a good hiring. He'll bring a defensive mindset and a strong veteran mindset. What do you think about this hiring, Brock?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to bring in someone with a lot of experience like Stan. I mean, he's been to the finals and he's been deep in the playoffs, so he knows all about what a team has to do to make it there and to be successful there. And although he's never won a chip, he understands the game well. And there were a few times, well, one time in particular, where I think he could have won a chip in the 2004 season, but or made it at least to the finals. But Dwayne Wade got hurt.
Yeah, things didn't work out his way.
So, I mean, I think he's a good hire. He can really teach the game to this very young team. And I think if they are able to get him and then maybe a veteran to that team to also teach them, that everything's going to work out for that team.
Yeah, and real quick, I just want to get your thoughts. Did you like Alvin Gentry, the ex-coach for the Pelicans, or how did you feel about him?
Mm, yeah, I thought it was just okay. I mean, I had no quarrels with the guy, but I felt like that team really could have come together better last year. That team could have been better. They have the talent. And I know they're young, so they might be inconsistent at times, but that's a coach's job to get rid of all that. And I just don't think he did a great job with that. And I think the organization knew that he wouldn't be a good guy from just last year to bring up these young guys.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. I just wanted to get what you thought about that was. Our next coach are hiring Jeff Van Gundy, or not hiring, but he met with the Rockets, and he's been a history of coaching with the Rockets. Of course, his team struggled with the Knicks and the Rockets, but I just want to get what you feel about this.
Well, first of all, those teams struggled due to injuries.
Mm.
The injuries really plagued him everywhere he went as a coach. It was just pretty much bad luck. Um, it's pretty rare to see a coach who coached a team in the past be hired again by that same team.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it just shows how much that organization liked him and how they understood that it wasn't his fault that they lost. It was just, a whole bunch of injuries. And, the coach is always the fall guy when things don't work out. And so, I think he would work out well. The organization obviously likes him if they're willing to give him a second chance. He's, the Rockets, they're a team that needs to come together
Yeah.
with a playoff mindset. And although Jeff never really, made it that far just due to all the issues. I mean, he did make it to the finals once. Okay,
Yeah, it's the first ever eighth seed, which is crazy.
the first ever in NBA history as an A seed to make it to the finals, and he was able to do that even with injuries. So that shows that he can bring a team that's struggling as far as it goes in the NBA all the way to the finals.
Yeah, but I think if he does get picked up by the Rockets, I think there's a problem beyond coaching there. I think there's a personnel problem. I don't think really Russell Westbrook and James Harden can fit together, but that's a topic for another day.
All right, the next coach is Steve Nash, who was recently hired as the coach of the Nets. Nico, what do you think?
I think it's a good hire. Again, I'm really high on Mark Jackson, so I think that could have been a great coach. But as a coach who can really understand the player, as a coach who can really see what Kyrie is thinking on the court as being an all-time great point guard, I think it was a great hiring. I think they're gonna really come together. I know Steve Nash used to work with Kevin Durant on the Warriors franchise, so yeah, I think it was a pretty good hiring. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't mind the hire. He has no coaching experience, but he's a renowned point guard, and he's known for his intellect and passing, and so I think he'll really connect with the two greats in Brooklyn, Kevin Durant and Kyrie, just due to the fact that he was such a great player,
Yeah, and
and I think he'll understand their point of view a lot more than some other coaches,
mhm.
and just being that personable that might be able to bring together that team when we know that Kevin Durant and Kyrie, they sometimes you know kind of have beef with other players on their teams. They don't always match perfectly with everyone. So I think it was a good call, but I think there could have been better. I think they could have gone for someone with actual coaching experience, but can't be mad at that decision.
Yeah, but you can see this hiring or this coaching position at like two different ways. You can see it as this job, you have two stars. You don't really need to be a coach, really. You just got to be able to manage them, which could be done by a coach with no coaching experience. As as we saw, I think with Tyronn Lue in 2016, I think he had no coaching experience prior to with LeBron. I'm not sure though, but you could see that as you can see that in two different ways, or you could see it as you need more coaching experience to manage these stars. I don't really think this is a job where you really need coaching experience, seeing as that you have two stars who are going to be ball dominant most of the time. You don't really need to, and they don't really have many young guys they need to control. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with what you said.
Okay, so next coach hiring, which was a shocker to me, is Doc Rivers as the new coach of the 76ers. What do you think about this, Brock?
Well, you know, the 76ers, they they saw an opportunity to get a coach who had won a championship, and they took it. And
Yep.
that year he won the championship with the Celtics. He
Mhm.
brought together three great players
Yep.
who all thought of themselves as a leader of a team, and thought they would be the dominant force on whatever team they played on. And he was able to convince them to completely work together and just really not have a main leader of the team, but he got them to all agree that
Mhm.
they could all dominate together and they could help each other. And you know, the 76ers, that whole team has
They
some
need some help. They need some help.
serious issues with just like who's the dominant force there, Ben Simmons or is it Joel Embiid? And then they're both getting injured a lot, and the rest of the team, I don't know where they stand. They're just I don't know what they're doing. So it's like that he knows how to bring a team together like no other. That Celtics team was really brought together well. So you know, I think it's a good decision, especially if they're able to bring in some more guys for that team.
Yeah. I think personally, I think it wasn't a bad hire, but as we saw with the Clippers, I feel like Doc Rivers on this team, more than any other team, needs to be very vocal with his guys, right? He can't just let them play like he did with the Clippers. He has to really be a leader. And as we saw with the Clippers, I don't really know if he has that still because he really just let the Clippers play. There was no real
Oh, he had it when it comes to something. That's not just something that leaves here.
true, fair. But I'm just saying what I saw most recently, where he just let them play. He really wasn't really a leader in that locker room. I feel he really just sat there and watched them play. But in this locker room, he needs to be a leader. He really needs to get Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid on the same page. And I think as a coach, the first decision or the first thing you need to sit down and talk to Ben Simmons about is that jump shot. Because let me tell you, it is horrendous.
Yeah, there needs to be some work done.